The next method for finding GCD and LCM is called the GCD-LCM Product method. So this one is actually like a formula that you would need to memorize if you want to use this method. So here's the formula. It turns out if you're trying to find the GCD of two numbers A and B, or the LCM of two numbers A and B, it turns out that A times B, if you multiply the two numbers, the two given numbers, A times B will be the same thing as the GCD times the LCM. So if you at least know three of these, you can find the fourth. This is most often used to find the LCM because the LCM is inherently a little bit harder to find because multiples are big. Usually the GCD we can do in our heads. So if you know A and B and you know the GCD, you can solve this little formula to get the LCM. So we usually find the GCD first, and then we use the formula to find the LCM. So I decided to set up these examples as like a little chart because I think it's going to make it easier to do these. So what I have in the first column is the first number, A. Then in the next column I have the second number, and we're trying to find the GCD and LCM of those two numbers. And what we know is that if you multiply A times B, it will equal the GCD times the LCM. So if we kind of set this up as like a chart here, these two numbers multiplied would equal the GCD times the LCM. So let me kind of just complete this down the little chart. If you multiply the two numbers on the left, it will equal the GCD times the LCM. So let's just see if we can figure out what the GCD is. Let's just do the first line here. What is the largest number that will divide into 4 and 6? The biggest number that will divide into 4 and 6 is 2. So what we have is basically 4 times 6 equals 2 times I don't know. 4 times 6 equals 2 times I don't know. Well, 4 times 6 is 24. So we're looking at 24 equals 2 times I don't know. What would the question mark be? 24 is 2 times, it would be 12. The only way to make these two sides equal is if you put a 12 right there. That way you get 24 on the left and you get 24 on the right. So now we know the GCD is 2, the LCM is 12. Let's try another one. 6 times 10, that would be 60. I'm just going to shorthand it over here. 60 equals, okay, let's see the GCD of 6 and 10. The biggest number that will divide into 6 and 10. They're both even, so I know 2. Will anything bigger divide into both of them? No, it's just 2. So 60 equals 2 times LCM if you want to think about it that way. So what would the LCM have to be? 2 times what gives you 60? 30. So you get 30. My pen tried to roll off the table. Did you hear it? How about 8 and 12? What's the biggest number that will divide into 8 and 12? Well, I know 2 will go in there. Oh, 4. 4 will go in there. Will anything bigger divide into those? I don't think so. It's just 4. So we get 8 times 12. 8 times 12 is 96. 96 equals 4 times the LCM. So what would this number be? Well, you could divide both sides by 4 to find out. And you'll find out that it's 24. 8 times 12 is the same thing as 4 times 24. So see, all of our answers are over here on this column, really. Let's try the last one. 9 and 12. Well, 9 times 12 is 108. What's the biggest number that will divide into 9 and 12? Well, they're not even, so it's not a 2 or a 4 or anything. 3 will go in there. Well, 6? No, 9 won't either. So just 3. So 3 times the LCM. To find the LCM, just divide both sides by 3, and you'll get 36. So this is how you can use the little formula. If you want to set up a chart, you can set it up like a chart, but you don't have to set up a chart. So let me show you how to do it if you're just doing one and you're not asked to do multiple ones. Use the GCD-LCM product to find the LCM of 50 and 72. So here's our A and our B. And what we know is that A times B is GCD times LCM. I'm just going to kind of write out the formula there. That's what we know. So A is 50. So 50 times 72 is GCD times LCM. Well, let's see. What's 50 times 72? 50 times 72 is 3,600. And let's see if we can figure out what the GCD would be. And you can use another method to find the GCD. I'm going to use our little division by primes method over here on the side. So a number that will divide into 50 and 72 is 2. They're both even. So 2 goes into 50 25 times, 2 goes into 72 36 times. Will something divide into 25 and 36? No, because 25 is 5 times 5. So actually we're done. There's your GCD. There's only one number there, so this would be 2 times the LCM. And then you could divide both sides by 2, and you'll find out that the LCM is 1,800. So that's another option that you have for finding LCM, is you can use this little GCD-LCM product method, which requires multiplication and like a tiny little bit of solving.